everyone. My name is Agata. I am one of the product training specialists here at Newline Interactive. Our webinar today is going to be a comparison for education panels. I'm going to be comparing two of our most popular education panels today, one of which is behind me and another of which I will show you. And we're going to talk about differences, similarities, everything that you can do with these two displays. First and foremost, before we get started, just so you guys know, everybody is on mute for the webinar. If you have questions, please throw them into the Q&A portion of your Zoom. That way I can get to those at the end. So we'll go ahead and answer any questions once we finish up with everything. Feel free to type them in as we go, and I will address everything that you have as soon as we're finished. All right. So to get started, if any of you are not familiar with Newline, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a very brief overview. It's only a 300-slide PowerPoint. I'm totally joking. It's going to be about 3 slides for you, and it's just going to give you a quick idea of who we are, what we do, and why we do things a certain way. So I think this is really important because when you're looking for a partner in the interactive space, you probably want to know a little bit about why they're doing things a certain way and what exactly they have to offer. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that. So real quick, I want to talk about Newline's why. So if you've never heard of us before, if you fall asleep after this slide right here and don't listen to anything else I say, you'll pretty much have a good idea of who we are, though probably not what our panels can do. But if you remember 2 things about Newline, it's these 2 things right here. So number 1, we came into this market with the intention of making the easiest to use panels on the planet. I want somebody to be able to walk up to one of our Newline displays and immediately start being able to use it. So that is our kind of core tenet, right? That's everything that we build is built around this ease of use. And how exactly do we do that? That's our second point. Every single one of our displays is completely non-proprietary. So what that means to you is I am not going to come into your environment and try to fit you in our little box. I'm going to make a display that works with everything, whether it's a special operating system or software that you're using. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. Whatever your teachers or educators are using in the classroom, it will work with our displays, with all of our displays. They're completely non-proprietary and they're hardware agnostic. So any kind of software, hardware combinations you have, this is guaranteed to work with that. So a couple of things about us is you'll notice that the 2 panels I'm showing you today, they do have built-in functionality. Out of the box, you will be able to plug it into the wall and do certain things, and I'm going to talk about all of those. But also, we offer continuous support and training. This is probably the biggest piece that I harp on as a product trainer myself. We do free and unlimited training with our displays. So people ask me all the time, free and unlimited, what exactly does that mean? Well, it means free and unlimited in the sense that you get as much training or as little training as you want. We can do webinar trainings like this or virtual trainings like this. We can do on-site trainings if teachers need me to come on-site. I am absolutely happy to do that. We have trainers all across the United States. So all of it is free. It is included with your display. There is never any kind of charge. We don't do a time cap where you have to use a certain amount of hours or anything like that. So just remember, continuous support and training is always included with all of our displays. And then my last slide here. So a couple of things about Newline that you may not know. Number 1, we own our own factory. So we actually own the manufacturing facility where these displays come out of. Why is that important? Couple of different reasons. Number 1, we have a lot of control over product design and development. If I am getting teacher feedback when I go on site and those teachers are telling me, hey, we really want this particular feature, or this isn't working like I want it to, can we change this? We can make those changes and we can do it a lot faster. So we actually have people at Newline in the US that communicate directly with the factory floor, and we can get those changes implemented really, really quickly. So that's a big thing about owning the factory. Another thing that gives us is that we are always in stock. So right now, if you didn't know, there are a bunch of people trying to use CARES Act funding, for example. And we have a lot of purchase orders coming in for our interactive displays or even our non-interactives. And we are shipping hundreds of panels at a time. So right now in our warehouse, we have about 9,000 displays in stock. I actually checked that figure this morning with our warehouse manager. And on top of that, we have local warehouses. So my closest warehouse on the West Coast is in Cerritos, California. There is a warehouse in Piscataway, New Jersey for the East Coast, and our main warehouse is in Richardson, Texas. So we're kind of spread throughout the country. And what that means to you is that you're never going to be waiting on us. If you place a purchase order or you need a display, a return display, we can get that shipped out to you really, really quickly. So the turnaround time is quick, right? So we're always in stock, meaning you're not waiting on us if you place an order for 100 displays, and we have those local warehouses to make that shipping time faster. Now, another cool thing is all of our education displays come with a 5-year advanced replacement warranty. So for education, we do a standard 5 years, and what that means is if something happens to your display in the classroom and you give us a call and we deem that display, there's something wrong with it, it's defective, we will ship you a brand new unit. It is not an open box unit. It is not a refurbished unit. It is a brand new unit. We will ship you that brand new display. You'll take the old one down, throw it in the box you just got the new one in, and we'll have somebody pick it up. So we coordinate all of that and we pay shipping both ways. So really it's going to limit downtime in the classroom, especially coupled with these two other pieces. It's going to limit downtime in the classroom. So after 300 slides, we are finished with this very exciting PowerPoint. Let's talk about the fun stuff. So today I'm going to be doing a comparison for you guys. That's a little bit of the Newline story, but today we're going to be doing a comparison on two of our most popular education models. One of them is sitting right behind me. This is the RS Plus series. This particular one is a 75-inch display. We offer these in 65, 75, 86, and if you're really ambitious, 98 inches. So we have 4 different sizes for the RS. Now, this is definitely our most popular education panel. Probably the 75 RS is one that we have the most of out in the field. And there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, I talked about ease of use. So let's talk a little bit about the functionality that is included with the panel. I talked about ease of use as our number one tenet, right? I want somebody to be able to walk up and use this. So what did we do? We laid this out in such a manner that it is very easy to follow. So the RS series interface is something that I really, really like because I know teachers can walk up and just start playing with this. So you'll notice all these big buttons here on the left, and then your navigation pane on the right. You can plug anything you want into this display. It is hardware agnostic, like I mentioned, so Mac, Windows, Chromebook, if you want to wire it in, you can wire all those things in. Document cameras, external cameras for distance learning right now. If it's a USB camera, obviously it'll work. DVD players, what else have I seen? Cable boxes. I had a science teacher doing a unit on weather, and they were watching the Weather Channel on the display, which I thought was really cool. So the panel does have 3 HDMIs, a DisplayPort, and a VGA for all of those connections. So you'll notice there's a lot of different things that you can do. Now let's talk about the built-in functionality. There are a couple of things that come included with your display on the RS series. One of those is everybody's favorite thing, which is screen sharing. So wireless screen sharing is extremely popular right now. Everybody wants to be able to do everything wirelessly, which I don't blame them, right? We don't want wires and cables. So we have a built-in Newline Cast that does wireless screen sharing. Now, one of my favorite things about Newline Cast is the fact that it is extremely easy to use. It gives you the instructions directly on the screen. So if you open your DisplayNote app or get connected at displaynote.com/join, you will see 2 fields. One will be your session ID and the other will be your name. So I'm holding an iPad right here. I'm going to go ahead and type in my session ID, 365, put in my name. I'm going to hit connect. There's a couple of interesting things about Newline Cast. One of them is that this is a cloud-based solution. So that means if I walk in as a guest into a teacher's classroom and I have my phone in my hand, I don't need a Wi-Fi password to be able to connect to this display. I don't need to be on the same network that the display is on to be able to connect, which makes it easier in a lot of education environments because you have student networks and teacher networks and guest networks and all sorts of different networks going on at the same time, right? So this is cloud-based. It is not network specific. Now, another cool thing is you'll notice I'm currently connected. It's got my name up here. I cannot present to this display unless I am invited to. There is a built-in moderator mode, which means that the teacher has to actually select on a person to present. before they can cast their image to the screen. This is going to cut down on interruptions and disruptions to your classroom time, right? So I'm going to invite myself to present here. On my side, it says, waiting on you to present. I'm going to share my screen and hit start. It's going to do my cute little countdown. And then just for fun, let's go back here. Let's go to photos. And thank you, iPad, for warning me that you have not backed up. Here are pictures of my dog. As you notice, it does move pretty quickly, and the image actually comes through very, very clear. So I can throw something up here, whether it's my student device. My students have Chromebooks in the classroom. They're going to be able to join my session and show their work, or whether I want to be able to move around the room as I'm teaching with my Surface tablet or whatever other device that I have. I can do all of that just using this wireless screen sharing piece. Now, one more quick thing about the screen sharing is it does have a built-in grid view. So if I want to compare multiple things at the same time, I can actually split the screen in half and into fourths in my grid view. So I can invite multiple people to share at the same time, which makes it pretty cool, right? So we can do a compare and contrast, for example, which is something I've heard teachers doing with this. All right, so that is a little bit on Newline Cast. Now, Newline Cast is built into this RS display, but it is also built into the second display I'm going to talk about, so keep that in mind. I'm going to go back home. I'm going to show you some more built-in functionalities on this. So opposite Newline Cast, we have this really cool feature called Newline Broadcast. What Broadcast does is it takes whatever's on this screen right here and it outputs it to my audience. Making sure we're good to go here. It's going to take this screen and output it to my audience. So right now, the way that I'm seeing this used is with my kids that are back in the classroom, I have to spread them out very, very far because of the situation that we're in, right? So if somebody is sitting in the back corner and they can't see the board, or if I have a larger lecture hall at a university, or if I have an art room that has a funky shape to it and not everybody can see the screen, Broadcast is going to take whatever's on here and it's going to output it. It is also a cloud-based solution. It does not require you to be on the same network. And you'll notice it's eerily similar. Two-step process, and it's super simple. If you go to displayknote.com/broadcast and put in this broadcast ID, you will be able to see my screen no matter where you are, what you're doing. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and stop that broadcast. Again, simplicity is key. If I make it easy, people will actually use it. Another feature of the RS display is we do have cloud integration. So if I want to sign in to my Google Drive and pull open documents, I can do that directly from my display. Let's say I normally use my teaching laptop, but I'm walking to class and I drop it. I'm not completely out of luck. I can actually come in here, go to my drive. Let's see what's in here. And we can pull up Earth's Southern Hemisphere. Awesome, right? I can pull up images, files of all sorts, PowerPoint, slides, docs, XLS. I can play 4K video. And we do have the built-in annotation feature, of course. So if I tap the top button on my toolbar, I can go ahead and I can draw and write all over this without anything attached to it. So this is all the panel's native functionality. If I hit that button a second time, it's going to screenshot and save that for me. But just know, if I go into my file viewer, I can then grab those screenshots, upload them to Google Drive. I can send them out. I can add them to a flash drive if I want to. There's a couple of different options there. This is where all of the internal storage is going to be. So I can pull in files and images and things like that. So that is our file viewer. We do have, of course, a built-in internet browser. It's a Chromium-based browser. It's pretty great. And then there's a couple of other gadgets in here. Last but not least, we do have our whiteboard. Obviously, every interactive display needs to have a canvas. What I like about ours, it has something called object recognition built into it. So if I make a note with my stylus, which is actually a chopstick, if I make a note with my stylus and then take my hand and drag it across the screen, I have an infinite, never-ending canvas. So I can also zoom in and zoom out. I can throw in images, text, sticky notes, documents. I can do a Google image search, and I can do a Google web search. So we tried to make this simple with not too many buttons, but give it functionality so it's a one-stop shop. So I don't have to jump to my computer and find the definition of a word. I can just search my image or search the web, pull that snippet in to my whiteboard. Now we can also sign in to Google Drive directly from our whiteboard. So then if we need to upload our images from the whiteboard, we can do that directly from here instead of going through the file viewer. So a couple of different integration pieces there. And your whiteboard's automatically saved, so I don't have to hit a button. If I go back to my home screen and I turn this display off and walk out, if I come in tomorrow, that will be saved in my file viewer for me. So that is all of the native functionality built into the RS. So we have our screen sharing, our broadcast, the browser, the cloud integration, so cloud storage, and our whiteboard. That is all included. And I want to show you guys one more thing real quick that comes with every single one of our displays. And that is going to be our Newline display management. So if I am an educator or if I'm an IT director and I have 100 different classrooms, I need to be able to manage all of those RS panels or the next panel that we'll talk about remotely. I need to be able to manage all of those from a single location instead of having to go panel to panel. So Newline display management, again, included with your display. Everything that I've showed you so far, there is no additional cost to that functionality. It is just included with your display. On my dashboard, I can see my total devices. I have one device since this is my demo unit right here. So I only have one device, but you can have all of your devices listed here. You can tag them by school site. You can group them in different ways. You can send out messages. So if I select on my panels, I can send out a simple message, like a text message, to say, have a great rest of your Christmas break. Or I can send out more advanced messages. My advanced messages can include things like, if I have a fire drill that day, all of my displays will receive a message that will have a PDF of all of our fire exits, and it'll have a notifying sound that accompanies with it on a loop, maybe a little siren that will pop up over top of the screen. The nice thing about the display management is it runs on the Android system, on that interface that I was showing you earlier. So it's always on. Once you send out a broadcast message, it does not matter what source you're on. It does not matter where you are on the display. That message will always pop up over top of your screen. Now, there are a bunch of other things that you can do with this display management tool. You can actually turn the panels off or restart them. It does have wake on LAN, so if you need to wake them up, you can do that. We can also change settings. So if I need to push out a certain setting to a display or multiple displays, I can create all of those settings that are in our settings menu. I can create a file that will push all of that out to my displays. If I want to install applications, I can do that. And then last but not least, definitely important for all of my IT directors out there, is if you need to help a teacher in the classroom, something's not right, you can actually remote into the display. So if I'm a teacher and I'm trying to do something on my home screen, something's not connecting here, my IT director or my tech support person can actually remote into my display, can look through all of this, look through my settings and see what's wrong with it. So the display management tool, I think, is invaluable, especially if you're rolling out multiples of these, right? I don't have to go panel to panel. I don't have to go classroom to classroom. I can do all of these things from a central location, which is really cool. So that is a little bit about our RS series. You're going to notice I'm going to repeat myself a little bit. The RS series, like I mentioned, great interactive tool in the classroom. Kids love playing with this thing. That is the number one thing I hear from my teachers is the students want to play with it. And right now, one of the questions that's coming up is, everybody's doing distance learning. Well, this has actually been a really good tool for my teachers for distance learning because they can do something similar to what I'm doing right now. They can have an external camera with their RS. They have a big digital canvas, and they can have more motion involved, right? They can be more expressive in their education instead of just being tied to their laptops. So this is actually becoming a really good tool for distance learning as well. But you're also future-proofing your classrooms, right? With our 5-year warranty, advanced replacement warranty, if anything happens, your students are going to be back in the room at some point, hopefully in the near future, right? So we want to have that interactive piece because that's really going to bring life to lessons when we get back in the classroom. That's a little bit about the RS series. It's one of my favorite displays actually that we make. I play with this thing all the time and I train on it all the time. So I like talking about it. Now, the second one I want to talk about, and unfortunately I don't have one of these in my living room, but the second one I want to talk about is our NT series. So this is another really popular education panel. This is a non-touch line. Sometimes touch is not a requirement for things like digital signage, for meeting spaces. If you have a college lecture hall or a college classroom, higher education, sometimes touch is not really necessary. So high school science classes actually gravitate towards the non-touch because everything is so hands-on. If you're doing science lab, but having that big display in the back is really going to help you out. So a couple things about our non-touch display. And some of these pieces you're definitely going to recognize. So it does have a remote that you control it by, right? It is a non-touch screen. It does have the remote management piece included. So that Newline display management that I was just showing you, that is also included in our NT display. It does have the wireless connection piece. So as a science teacher, let's say I'm a 10th grade science teacher, we're doing a lab, I can still walk around my classroom and use Newline Cast with my tablet and have my big digital sign at the front of the room, my big display at the front of the room. It also does have access to the cloud. So that same cloud storage, that file viewer that I was showing you earlier, it does have the ability to connect to Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive, all of those different cloud storage so that I don't have to plug anything into it. I can just take my remote, I can access a file, I could do a slideshow if it's in a digital signage situation, right? It does have embedded microphones. So it's got a 6 microphone array built into it. That means if I add a camera, now I have a video conferencing solution that I can use. It's pretty awesome. And then, of course, it is hardware agnostic. It is non-proprietary. So anything you want to use with it, you'll be able to. It does have a slot back here. I forgot to mention this about my RS. Both of them have a slot back here for an onboard PC. So if you want an all-in-one with a Windows 10 PC plugged in, you can absolutely do that. The NT actually has 4 HDMI connections. So you can plug in multiple things at the same time, which I think is pretty great because then you don't have to be unplugging cables. So as you can see, a lot of the functionality that's built into the RS is also built into the NT. And one of the questions that comes up with the NT is, you know, I can go to a big box store and I can buy a television. What's the difference? There's actually a couple of differences. Number one, you have that Newline warranty standing behind this NT series, right? So if anything happens to it, you're going to be able to replace the display pretty easily and quickly instead of having to go through, you know, one of the bigger companies like Samsung or, you know, whoever. So that's point number one. Point number two, this is not a consumer grade display. This is a commercial grade display. The NT is actually rated for 24/7 use, so you can use it as digital signage. So you can run that panel all day and all night and nothing will happen to it. It's not really built like your TV at home. So keep that in mind as well. So that gives you a little bit on our NT series. We do have these in 85 and 98 inch sizes, and we are getting our 65s. I believe we're getting them either this month. I believe we're getting them this month or next month. We're getting a 65 inch version as well. So we're going to have a 65, an 85, and a 98 for the NT series. And if you guys are interested, all of our products, if you go to newline-interactive.com and go under products, all of our products are listed here. Today we looked at the RS Plus series and the NT series. Again, these are our 2 most popular products for education. Some classrooms need interactivity. Usually my elementary and middle schools, they love having that interactive piece of the classroom. Other classrooms, high school science classes are a great example, or higher education, they just need a really robust display. I don't have to plug anything into it. I have all of this built-in functionality right out of the box. So again, thank you guys for joining me. Let's see if we have any questions that have popped up during this display. I don't see any questions popping up yet. All right, friends. It looks like I explained everything so perfectly that you guys don't have any questions for me. If anything pops up after the fact, please feel free to email us at the email that is listed there, webinars@newline-interactive.com. One of our trainers will definitely get back to you. If you're interested in seeing a full demo of any of these displays, you can also reach out to us there. Thank you all very much for joining me today. I hope that this was informative. I hope you learned a little bit about Newline, what we do, how we do it, and also our fabulous products that we have here. Oh, looks like something popped up. Oh, so somebody popped into the chat and asked, is there a recording of this demo? Yes, I did record this demonstration today, and it will be on our YouTube channel as soon as I send it over to my marketing department. Those ladies are fantastic. I'm sure they'll get it up pretty quickly. So yes, this is recorded. You guys will be able to see everything. You're welcome, Mr. Scott. All right. Thank you guys again for joining me today. I hope you learned something new. If you have questions for me, my name is Agata. You can reach out to webinars@newline-interactive.com and get a hold of me that way as well. So I hope everybody has a great rest of your day and have a good one.